Seems like we're live now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's event. My name is Toma. I'm leading all WASM BizDev and DevRel initiatives at Star Foundation. I'm also the facilitator of the incubator program, and I'm your moderator for today as well. We have a great discussion lined up with our fantastic speaker that you see all of them here on the screen. We're going to discuss incubator program today. And now I would like to introduce our speakers. First, it's one of the creators, Hernando Peretti, core dev. As well, we have representative from each of the track. From the builders track, we have Spencer Zabiela, co-founder and CEO of MuFi. From the ecosystem track, we have Diego Torres, co-founder and Field CTO of ProtoFire. And from Auditor Track, we have Philip Stanislaus, co-founder and CEO of Oak Security. Welcome, guys, to today's event. So let's start with the quick or not really quick introduction about what is incubator about and some updates, what's going on there. Hernando and I will tell you more about this. So I would start back to a few months, I think 4 or 5 months ago. Star Foundation has pioneered an initiative to kickstart the growth of the Inc. ecosystem together with Parity Team, Pala Network, BrushFam, and Olive Zero as well. So Incubator is funded by Polkadot Treasury Bounty Program to support the growth of Inc.-based ecosystems. It focuses on a few key areas like developer growth, security audits, full stack tooling, as well as high impact product launches. And the funds is pretty huge and 1.6 million. The initiative provides 3 different tracks, as I mentioned before. It's builders track. It's more incubation process for a few months. It's for the team who just came to Inc. ecosystem and wants to try it out, come to the and build with Inc. Auditor Track, it's for auditor company who wants to start auditing Inc. smart contracts. And ecosystem grants track, I will tell you more about it a little bit later, but it's from the team that wants to support the existing project or create a new one as well. I think incubator becomes a really interesting opportunity for the project that they explore the potential of Inc. language, or they want to continue to build their existing one and fund it as well. So now I would like to ask Hernando to go on more in deeper explanation about builders and auditor track.
Yeah, cool. So maybe even before we get to that point, we should do like I'll do an intro, and maybe we should get you to do an intro as well, just to who you are. So I'm one of the core devs that works on Inc. Parity, but also one of the curators. And the curators are, a group of the people from the ecosystem that kind of decide, how to use, this pool of funds that we got from the Polkadot Treasury effectively. And it's from 5 different teams in the ecosystem, which makes this like a really nice initiative. So part of our goal here, as Tony mentioned, is to really grow and kind of kickstart the Inc. kind of developer and kind of business ecosystem. So in that, we've got all these different tracks, the first one being the builder track. And the builder track is kind of interesting because, we talk a lot about not just building code for the sake of building code, but really trying to build businesses. And not just businesses for others in the blockchain space, but really something that can impact, people outside of the space. So the goal with the builder track is to really support teams from 0 to hero, get them learning about Inc., but also get them working on kind of their business model, their business case, marketing, like all this sort of stuff. And we want to provide a really nice, polished, full stack product at the end of it, or at least support teams to do that. Then we've got the auditor track. And the auditor track's also cool in the sense that we don't want to train auditors from 0 here. We really want to support new incoming auditors. So people that already have experience auditing, smart contracts in Solidity or maybe in Cosmosm or something like that, and get them familiar with the specifics of Inc. That way we can really focus on adding value to the Ink ecosystem quickly. And it kind of helps close this like weird chicken and egg problem where people don't necessarily want to build impactful applications if there's nobody to audit their code. Likewise, auditors maybe don't want to enter a new ecosystem if there aren't any applications to audit and there's no revenue to be made anywhere. So between these two tracks, we do want like everybody to kind of work together and push each other forward. And then Toma is going to tell you a little bit more about the grants track, which is a little bit more of a free-form sort of track.
Yes, thank you so much. About the ecosystem grants track, I think it's all about create ideas that makes Ink even better, or show how cool, useful Ink can be. So just the basic, I would say, steps what to do if you want to get this grant. Your team will need to make a really strong case for your idea. Show us how your project is better with Ink, or how it shows the advantages of Ink, how it can bring something new to the table, and how it could help grow the overall Polkadot ecosystem and Web3 ecosystem as well. Also, we need to see that your team is able to carry out the project and maintain it afterwards. So we're looking on your GitHub repo of your activity, of your background as well. So it's important. And after, you just need to create a PR on the ecosystem grants repo, and here we go. The next step is just we'll take a review and provide our feedback. I would like to mention some rules as well that should be taken into account, that any code you write must be open source. It's really important for that everyone could see it and use it. Your project shouldn't promote anything illegal or do any token sale during the incubator as well. And respect the work of others. Don't claim it as your own, because we check in it and you could be not accepted to the ecosystem grants for sure if you take someone's work. And we're open for lots of ideas, but we have a few categories that your project might fall in. It's a business DApp. It's for startup that use Ink and need some support from us as a financial, marketing, as well from our creators, because as I mentioned before, all the creators from the top parachains, top teams, and the team that has the biggest expertise in Ink. Your team should be ready and able to turn your idea into real business and show us how you will do this. Canary DApp, it's more like prototype application. They not fully ready yet, but you could still show developers how to build their own DApps. And show your expertise in this as well. Technical showcase, it's more about showing off what makes the Ink special from the technical perspective. And infrastructure, it's about unique tool that needed in our ecosystem. So that's it. Ecosystem grants are here to help teams bring their smart contracts idea to life with Ink. And it's all about making the Ink ecosystem a better place, and Polkadot ecosystem as well. And I have to mention, sir?
Yeah, I was going to mention one thing there. Like the Auditor Track also does integrate with the ecosystem grants. It's not just with the builders. Like all three tracks will work together. So if you do write some code and you want to get it audited by the Auditor Track participants, like we can work that out as well.
Yeah, it was just my last word about this. That yeah. So if you need audit as well, you could be audited from our cool team that was selected for the Auditor Track. And I have to mention that all the slots for the current incubator cohort have been filled. So our focus right now for creators is to shift towards providing support to accepted teams. Our goal is to unlock their potentials and generate value for our ecosystem. So and if you want to follow the latest updates and news, please join our incubator public channel in Element, so you could see all the updates, what's going on, what the next cohort is open. And yeah, I hope it will be just in a few upcoming weeks. So if you would like to apply right now, you could do this, and we'll just review application a little bit later. Fernando, do you want to add something? Maybe I miss it.
No, as far as the track descriptions go, I think we're good.
Sweet. Let's go to our speakers. I would like to start from our builders track, Spencer Zabiela, co-founder and CEO of MuFi. Hello.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having us on. Yeah, we're really excited to be a part of the incubator program. I guess just a little bit about MuFi. I can provide some context. So MuFi provides infrastructure for global creator economies that revolve around the ownership of copyright. It's a segment that requires a global payments infrastructure that also meets the unique needs of creator businesses. So that means microtransactions, anonymity, identity verification, and most importantly, something that will always be a part of the fabric, which is adhering to territory specific policies and mandates. So that's what MuFi does. And that is, we can talk, I guess, a little bit later about how we were attracted to Inc. and how we got involved with Incubator and all those things.
Yeah, I would love to hear, and we would love to hear about your contribution to the Polkadot ecosystem already and some experience with that. So could you share with us?
Sure, yeah. So when we initially came to Polkadot, we had limited technical resources, but we had a great founding team with very specific music industry experience and a business model that included, I think, like a hybrid of both Web 2 and Web 3 needs. I mean, so every startup has its strengths and weaknesses, and it's your job as a founding team to organize the strengths to become growth factors, so that you can address the weaker parts of the business. So since our strengths are music administration and finance related, we spent time learning about how Polkadot parachains and just tech in the ecosystem in general could be leveraged so that we could go to market more effectively. In other words, like not having to build like a whole DeFi stack or having to build an identity stack or whatever it was. We could move into the ecosystem and leverage these different parachains, have plenty of block space to do whatever we needed for those transactions. And yeah, that's basically how we got involved with we got involved in Polkadot through a couple of folks, Peter Morick and Dan Reeser in particular. And we started working with Parity years ago, kind of peripherally, and just sort of got pulled in and found that Polkadot was a hub of really incredible, technically minded founders and core developers. So that really was what brought us into Polkadot in the first place.
Sweet. Maybe you could share your experience with Sumi as well.
Yeah. So Sumi in particular, we met them also kind of early on in our process of, I mentioned we were looking into different parachains and seeing what we could leverage. Sumi in particular had a set of unique features that were attractive to our business needs, specifically storage, decentralized storage, and secure messaging. In the music industry in general, it's very fragmented, and a lot of the processes are manual and paper intensive. So there's a lot of room for innovation. And one of the key components from a payments perspective is masking those transactions and being able to handle cross-border payments, which is what we're focusing on in the builder track and what we're building with Inc. But there's a lot of data that moves around, and that data also needs to be sort of placed into buckets where the rights holders can pull a lever to say what data can be shared and what data can't be shared. And that's a key component of Sumi, being able to have references on chain to buckets of data and saying what can be viewed and what can't, right? So when we initially started working with them, they laid all this out and they pitched us on the idea of what they were building, what their roadmap was, and how we could fit into that. And that's really where the partnership started with them.
Got it. Sounds good. And the question about the incubator, what are you hoping to get out of the program, of the incubator program, and what is your thoughts, roadmap about this as well? What you're most excited about?
Yeah, I mean, so incubator is really interesting because when I first spoke with one of the core Ink developers a little over a year ago, Ink was in a very different place as far as I knew. Now, I remember I'm not an engineer, so I am not going to get into the nitty gritty. I'll leave that to the rest of you folks to chat about that. But my understanding was that it was a very powerful product, and it was not yet in a place where it was very developer friendly a year and a half ago, right? And this specific developer that I was speaking with, his focus was, he's a very product focused guy, product minded guy, and also a great core developer. And he said, I'd like to contribute to build out some of the front end libraries and help make things so that you could essentially theoretically build a dApp using Ink within 24 hours, start to finish. That was the goal. And Ink, the underlying technology itself, is like pretty interesting and composable and powerful and what it can do. But again, I think the issue at the time was that it was harder to build with, and it's sort of like a substrate light, from what I understand. Again, not having touched a line of code, but that was my understanding of it. And so as things progressed a little bit and those front end libraries got built out, and it was like, wow, okay, Ink is something that we can really leverage. The incubator program kind of started to come to life. We were a great candidate for that because we were actually coming into the ecosystem with users and a real business need and a lot of stuff that needed to happen, where we had this business model that just needed some go-to-market help, from a technical perspective. And so Ink and the incubator program is great for us, and we're really excited because that allows us to work with and sort of bring our developers in who are talented Rust developers but don't yet know Ink, to be a part of that move towards a real use case where, okay, now Ink is being used within our business, and at the same time it's also bringing developers in, working alongside of these incredibly talented core Ink developers, right? And learning and kind of growing that piece of the ecosystem out.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I love to see the teams and the people who already has expertise and business, had the existed business model that works, and just try to find a fitting tech as well, a new one, and trying Ink. And I'm so happy about it to see you here and work with you on the Builders Track as well. And I'm excited to see what happened after incubation, after the 6 months. It will be really exciting. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Anything to add from your side?
No, I just think it's really important that Polkadot in general, it's so engineer focused, and all of the developers are so passionate and so brilliant. So it's really nice. I think incubator is a great bridge to help less developer teams or businesses come into the ecosystem and leverage great technology. I think it's a really important way to get the right types of businesses into Web3.
Yeah, and we as teams like Pala Network, we are Aleph Zero Parity, Astar, could just understand your need as well and help you with all the infrastructure, cover all your needs. So it's just win-win situation for everybody here, because it was high needed for us as well as for Parachains team. So super excited. Thank you so much, Spencer. It was really interesting to hear from you. Thank you. Let's
Thanks.
go to ecosystem track. Diego Torres, co-founder and Field CTO of ProtoFire. Welcome to the stage, and yeah, please.
Well, thank you for having me here and for sharing this kind of information, because I think one of the most important things from an ecosystem perspective is adoption. And this kind of programs like the incubator and combined with others like the Polkadot Academy blockchain and other initiatives really helps to onboard into this ecosystem. And that was the case for ProtoFire. ProtoFire is a company that's been working in the Web3 space for the last 4 years. So it's been like in this phase for Polkadot, but in the Ethereum era. And thanks to this program, for us was easier to onboard this new ecosystem with the previous experience that we have. But even though we have some experience, these programs are pretty helpful for different enthusiasts and entrepreneurs to start getting into this new technology. At first, Polkadot seems pretty overwhelming, I should say, when you see it from some distance. But once you start getting into this ecosystem, participating in the, for example, Decoded, we've been in the Decoded from Buenos Aires last year, and we start creating a team after that to start working on Polkadot. So for us, it's been like almost 9 months of a journey within this ecosystem. And right now we are working pretty happy to work within this incubator program, bringing functionalities from the multi-sig perspective. But before getting into that specifically, I just wanted to mention that these kind of programs and activities are a must for getting adoption. And technical adoption and build and teams adoptions that will bring afterward user adoptions once the ecosystem is full of use cases. That's right now is happening in Polkadot. So well, that's like to give a sense of a newbie in this ecosystem can see this. But well, right now we are working on bringing some of our previous experience into Polkadot. Thanks to the incubator program, we are able to develop a fully native, compatible multi-sig into this ecosystem. We bring the experience from implementing and working with the Gnosis Safe multisig, which is an EVM compatible multisig that has been actually deployed in a few parachains like Moonbeam and Astar. But right now we had the opportunity to develop fully compatible with the contract palette stack of these parachains, and this multisig will bring, I think, a lot of value because it's one of the pieces what we so called the minimum viable infrastructure for a network to have in order to provide the most important services to the ecosystem. And well, a multisig is one of them. And it's pretty important for organizations, DAOs, and even for security. So we are pretty excited to start working in this. And from what Spencer was saying, I can say that onboarding into this technology was hard, but wasn't that hard. So after a few months, we have a nice team working in Ink and we are pretty excited about what we can do with this framework. Well, that's what we are doing. I don't know, Toma, if you want to make me a question, or you want to go dive into a specific topic.
First, I want to agree with you about the mass adoption thing that you said. I definitely agree with you on this, that we have this program even like to share with the new coming team, the team that wants to switch from one ecosystem to Polkadot. And we have something to share with them and say, hey, you could join this if you want to work with Inc. and just try it out and see how many teams already applied. And I'm just happy to see that we are going straightforward to the mass adoption and getting more and more teams involved. I want to ask you actually the same question about expectation about the program, what you're looking for, how's your building is going, because you were accepted like, I guess, 2 weeks ago. And
Yes.
I want to hear some updates. How is it?
Well, first, for us, this is like it's not the first step, because we've been through a hackathon, then we have a grant, and we build a few things for Polkadot. But this is like the big thing. We are the first big thing we are developing within this ecosystem. So for us, it's a huge challenge, and we are extremely happy to be challenged and to have the opportunity to contribute in this phase of the network, which is what excites me most, at least from my side, because those who are working at this stage have the opportunity to be part of the history of these networks. And from that perspective, we've been 2 weeks working on the multisig. Right now, we are working on a proof of concept and in a discovery phase, and we are trying to bring like the base a smart contract infrastructure to make this multisig possible. We've been through a few complexities regarding this new language for us, but we are overcoming that, and we are pretty confident that we will deliver a good piece of code, open source, as you were saying. So it's already a big contribution that will perform these multi-sig transactions, not only for sending tokens, but also for any interaction with any contract. So we are doing this abstraction regarding to what we are dealing with, and we will, and that is very important, because even, for example, in Ethereum, which is more developed, there is a lot of complexities when you want to interact with a smart contract using a multisig. Well, we will not only work on the Inc side, which is like the backend, but we will also work in the next few months on the UX UI, because that's the big problem right now in Web3. It's pretty complex to use most of the stack as a user. I mean, not as a developer. So for us, it's key not only to have a strong backend and an Inc smart contract, because this will be a smart contract wallet, but also a good interaction with the UI. So that's the big challenge. So right now we are working on the proof of concept. As I was saying, in 2 weeks we will have this presented within the incubator program. But right now we are already start working on phase 2, because we want to be as fast as possible, and we are so excited that we say, okay, let's start working not only in the proof of concept, but also we start working with users and with user personas, working on that side, because the UI and the user experience is extremely challenged with this with this use case. So that's what we are doing right now. I'm pretty happy to do it.
Well, it sounds really amazing that you started working already on the next stage as well. And yeah, I'm excited to see your delivery as well. You're really a hardworking team. So I believe that this solution will help a lot for all the parachains as well, because I know how hard right now it's managed. So you will solve a lot of problems from my side personally. And yeah, I think for a lot of teams as well. So thank you so much for your work. Yeah, let's
Well,
go.
no,
Auditor.
I just want to say thank you, Astar in particular, because we met you at Denver a few months ago, and we start having an excellent and amazing relationship. And you help us to bootstrap our onboarding within the Polkadot ecosystem. So we are pretty we're very thankful with you guys, and your team is amazing. Just want to say that.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to hear this. We are happy to support a lot of teams that coming to the incubator particularly as well. So yeah, if you have any questions, just mention one more time, just post it in the public chat, and me or other creators will be happy to support it, or go to any Astar channels, or I guess Pala Network, any creators channels that you could find. You could ask any question there. They will be happy to answer. Cool. Let's go to Auditor Track. Philip Stanislaus, co-founder and CEO of Oak Security. We so interesting to understand your contribution, your plans, and yeah, welcome.
Sure. Thanks, Toma. Yeah, I'm very excited to be here. Actually, before we start, maybe a quick clarification. So in November 2022, my co-founder and I went to Sub-Zero, and we are fairly new to the Polkadot ecosystem. So we assumed that no one would know us, and we went from people to people, and everyone was, yeah, Oak, yeah, of course we know you, until we figured out that there's another Oak Network company or project called Oak Network in the Polkadot ecosystem. So we're aware of the naming conflict. We are Oak Security, we're not Oak Network. Just to make that clear in the beginning. What we do is we offer security audits and security-related services. We have two different brands. We have a team of 49 security researchers that are split about 50-50 between one team that's focusing on Solidity and kind of like the old world of smart contracts, but also newer EVM-based ecosystems. And the other half is focusing on Rust and Go, mainly on the Cosmos ecosystem so far. We have performed over 200 audits since we were started, found over 2,000 issues. So we're pretty big in that Cosmos ecosystem. The reason why we stuck so long to the Cosmos ecosystem is that strategically we decided to focus very much on high quality, slow growth, and make clients happy. And I think our client retention in the Cosmos ecosystem really shows that that worked. But it comes with one major downside, which is that we are not fairly well known across other ecosystems. So in the Polkadot ecosystem, our firm is pretty new. Personally, I have worked for almost 2 years in the Polkadot ecosystem. I've been with Centrifuge for some time. I had built their initial substrate chain. I've also helped with the architecture and some low-level implementation as a developer of Snowbridge, Snowfork's light client-based bridge between Ethereum and Polkadot. And I was also awarded, I think, 2 Web3 Foundation grants for building Go Substrate RPC client. So I've been a long-term dev in the ecosystem and then switched over to audits and focused on another ecosystem. And I'm super excited to be back helping out with security in the Polkadot and Kusama ecosystems. Yeah, what I really like about Polkadot, also from back in the time, is that there's a very strong research focus. So Web3 Foundation and the team that's working at Parity and Web3 Foundation, they really value diving deep and thinking long about issues before tackling them. That makes it a bit slower, I guess, than other ecosystems, but it's more foundational. So lots of great ideas come from the ecosystem. And I remember very positively our collaboration with Web3 Foundation on the light client implementations of Snowbridge. But also like security relevant features are very important to us, like forkless upgrades and of course a very nice community. So yeah, that's the background.
Good. A lot of experience, actually. Something new for me as well. That's good. I would like to ask you about some specific challenges that you see potentially could be with outdating Rust and Ink, because this is what you will face up eventually. I would say pretty soon. So, yeah, interesting to hear.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so regarding Rust and Ink, like as I said before, our focus of the Oak Security brand is on Rust. And we've audited lots of COSM smart contracts. I think there are lots of parallels between COSM and Ink. Some things are fundamentally different, like the actor model or the synchronous execution model. But fundamentally, Rust is a beautiful language because it prevents a lot of foot guns you have in other languages related to memory, like unpredictable state and such. The big issue with Rust is that there's not a lot of security tooling targeted to smart contract development. So static analysis tools, for example, like Slither, they don't really exist, or they are very basic. But having said that, issues that are common in Solidity even today, like reentrancy, they are not really something we see a lot with Rust-based smart contracts or overflows, because just the language is preventing some of these issues. So a lot of the issues we find in Rust-based smart contracts are related to logic mistakes. So there was a specification that was wrong, or there's a specification, the implementation is deviating from the specification, or there's just some edge case that's not covered. Generally, maybe to go one step back, security is something that should be targeted across the whole lifecycle of an application. An audit is something that often comes after development is done, before a project releases the code. But we believe that security should be a concern from the beginning when you design an application, when you think about how different components of the system interact with each other, how you can attack some of these components as an adversary, and how you can protect them by defining better interfaces, for example, by just changing how you create the architecture of a system. And then after the design, there also come other phases like development, making sure that development processes and release processes follow a strict process that cannot be worked around. Then, of course, there are audits, but there's also testing. Then there's something like formal verification, where you define invariants and where you prove that certain states can never be reached or certain invariants can never break. And eventually, there's also things like monitoring, alerting, incident response. So across all these different steps in a product's lifecycle, we offer services, but the signature service that we have is security audits. And that's focused on one version, on one snapshot of the application. And what we do at that stage is we always staff 3 auditors. They typically have different backgrounds. So for DeFi protocol, for example, we take someone that has economic experience. We have one person with a PhD in economics who helps with modeling economic scenarios, for example. Or if we audit a roll-up processor that uses zero-knowledge proofs, we can use one of our cryptographers for that process. And the whole idea is to staff different backgrounds. And then our auditors, they are not actually looking at the code and sharing insights while they look at the code. Rather, in our process, they do not communicate with each other. So auditors are working independently. They should not share any insights. And the reason why we do this is we don't want to bias their attention. So if I tell you guys there's a pink elephant in the room, you would look for the pink elephant and might miss something that's behind the elephant. The other reason for this blinded approach is that it allows us to monitor when auditors reveal their findings to each other. We can see how much overlap there is. We can see if there's any issues with the performance of some of the auditors, but we can also train them and improve over time. And in the end, we send our clients an audit report that's describing all the issues that we found, gives recommendations, and then we have a window where we help audit the audit clients to resolve the issues, where we work together, help them bring the code base in a good state. And that's the typical process and product that we offer. Just one disclaimer before I stop. Audits cannot guarantee that there's no issue in the code base. Like, we've seen so many exploits over the years, especially in DeFi, but across all of the crypto space. And that's why I want to stress again that audits, they are one step in your approach to security. And we believe it's important to have that step, but at the same time, we always encourage our clients to have multiple, different approaches to have a secure system that's not exploited.
Nice. I love it that you have this unique approach, I would say, like that basically getting audit from 3 different people from different perspective, different expertise as well. So I like it, and I'm excited to see how many reports you will do for our teams, for our builders track, ecosystem track as well. Are you ready for this tough, I would say, upcoming months with a lot of audits processing?
That's a great question. Like we do have around 25 people who focus on Rust, and our plan is to, grow with the incubator program and work very closely with you guys, basically, to make sure that we have enough people that are well trained on the Inc. DSL, but also have enough experience in other ecosystems so they can carry over their learnings and their approach to Inc. Ultimately, our goal is that teams can sleep well. That's our promise, and I think we can achieve this by not going too fast. So, I think that our strategy remains the same. We want to grow slowly and deliver very high quality outputs.
Yeah, quality is definitely better than quantity, so it's more important for us. Thank you so much for your professional approach, and thank you so much. I guess I saw one comment, just a quick to answer, about is Brush Fund part of the incubator program? Yes, they part as a Pala network, Parity team, Aleph Zero, and a Star Foundation as well. Cool. Let's go to the finance update right now.
Yeah, cool. So as we mentioned earlier, this whole program is funded by the Polkadot Treasury. So it is funding that we, as this group of curators from this diverse group of ecosystem teams, have been entrusted with. And we definitely want to make sure that we're using the money effectively and that we're being very open about where this money is going. So to give you guys a little bit of context, the initial bounty that we applied for as a group was for about $1.6 million US. From that, we've allocated around $1.3 million to date. That doesn't mean we've deployed this capital yet, but we just kind of got it as we will spend this to support the teams that we've kind of accepted into the program so far. So, how many teams have we accepted? So for the builder track, we got 11 applicants and we've got 1 team accepted, which is MuFi. For the auditor track, we got 8 applications and we accepted 2 teams, which was, Oak and also Open Zeppelin. For the ecosystem grants, we got 14 applications and we've accepted 6 so far. I'm not going to name all of them. Then the split from those categories. So for the builders, we've allocated around $100,000 US. For the auditors, we've got around $500,000 US allocated. For the ecosystem grants, it's about $600,000 US. And that gives us a little bit of backup money. So it's around $300,000 to $400,000 of money left over to kind of account for anything like price fluctuations, maybe an increased scope of milestones, increased cost of audit, maybe extra marketing that we need to do, that sort of thing. So we want to give ourselves a little bit of a buffer. And that's also kind of why we've kind of closed this first cohort of applications. Like, we want to see how teams grow and progress before deploying any more capital. We really do want to make sure that we support teams effectively instead of just kind of committing all this money, disappearing, and then hoping for the best. Because our goal as a collective really is to continue the incubator beyond this first round. And we do want to prove to the Polkadot ecosystem that we can use funds effectively and that we can use this to further the Polkadot ecosystem and the Polkadot story.
I'll also add one other thing, if it's all right. I just wanted to say to other founders and applicants that are looking to join Incubator, I know it's really important to be able to talk with other founders with what their experiences are. And so we're always an open book. You can connect with us at connect@mufi.app. And if you want to set up a meeting and just learn about like how our experience has been so far, or at the end of this process, or anytime in between, totally happy to do that. We've been involved peripherally, not necessarily with MuFi, but I've been involved with different incubator programs, and a lot of times they're like very predatory and have low quality, not only teams and participants, but also the curators can sometimes not be the best. And I can vouch for these folks here and say that they're extremely high quality and have been incredibly supportive and have the right mindset of, being that technical support while still respecting the needs of non-technical, business needs. So feel free to reach out if you need. Can't speak highly enough about these people and what they're bringing to the table, and we're excited to see what Inc. brings.
Yeah, and like one more thing there, it's like we're not like a traditional startup incubator in the sense that we're not taking equity or like any sort of like stake in these projects, right? Like we really do want to help these projects grow to help the ecosystem grow. Like we're not trying to make a profit off this in any way.
Yes, it's 100% true. So we don't have any questions. I don't see it in the chat. You still have last minute to ask it if you want. But let's go to the final word from our speakers. I would like to ask you all one question and just answer it one by one. What's your next step after being incubated? Philip, I see you first on the screen.
Yeah, sure. So part of our grant is that we do not just audit, but also start creating some content about best practices and common issues we see in Inc. smart contracts. And yeah, I think that's the immediate next thing. And then after that, I hope that we have built some credibility in this new ecosystem, Inc. ecosystem, to stay around and be a long-term service provider.
Spencer?
Yeah, so what we've been tasked with from the beginning here is just outlining the roadmap with Inc. With the core developers to figure out, okay, well, do some user journey stuff and say, okay, here's how we want to approach the product. Here's an outline of the needs of creator economies, and also get some feedback from the Inc. team, kind of in like a brainstorming type session. So for us, it's really about laying that out and then kind of getting as big and as wild as we can to think of things that maybe are aggressive for a 6-month track, and then sort of come to a consensus on what we're going to tackle and how we're going to tackle it in the best, with the best strategy moving forward, which sounds like a lot of fun. So I'm excited.
And a lot of work, definitely.
Sure.
Yeah. Diego?
Well, for us, the first step will be just trying to spread the word about this new piece of technology that we will deploy thanks to this program. So we will try to bring as people as possible into the multi-sig and help to use them, and of course we will provide a further roadmap for it, because this is like the first release. Besides that, we will work. We are working and developing a UX UI team that we want to deploy on different aspects for Polkadot ecosystem in general. So we will work in that to make it the experience as easy as possible for the end user. So, and of course, try to bring as many people as possible to this ecosystem.
Thank you. I think it's our common goal, and I really love to hear that it's your goal as well. Hernando?
Yeah, so really I want to see just the ecosystem kind of become self-sustaining in a way. Like I really do think that, the synergy of all these different tracks can help, I don't know, create just like inertia within the ecosystem, and it should be able to keep going without our support. As much as I want to like support teams to grow, like they should just be able to, be totally independent and be able to, get clients and get business and build cool stuff on their own.
Yeah, the same. We would love to push and help all the team to achieve all of your goals and the incubator goals as well. So you will succeed and we will be happy. Yeah, I think I see two questions or one question related to our topic today. The first one will be, do we have any set of examples with the ink-based DApps? I could actually start with this because we have, as I know, two of them. First, it will be ink. Hernando is saying now, but you could add something later. First one, it will be Swanky DApps. We have a lot of examples of the Ink Live project. That's DAX, PSP34, I guess. So you could check Astar network repo. And I know about Ink example. Maybe Hernando could.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so there is actually a lot more. So one of the teams that recently launched the contracts palette was Alice0, and they've got quite an active developer community actually. So Alice0 also sits on kind of like the board of curators. And like one project that comes to mind is like the Art0 NFT marketplace, but they also do have like a few other kind of like full stack apps that have like emerged. I don't have them off the top of my head, but I'm sure if you like go on their Twitter or something, they'll be like showing them there.
Yeah, I know Parity Ink examples as well. Pretty new one. Looks cool. I just checked it yesterday. Yeah, and if you want to check ink production code or project, you always could. Most of the project actually open source, so you could just check it. Like most of the project, you could find their code and work. Yeah, I don't see any questions. So I think we're good. So I would say thank you to everyone. My last word will be let's collaborate, create new and incredible projects together, and of course, build together. So speaking from my side and all of our speakers' side, we extend our appreciation for all involvement in today's event, to all the attendees as well. And thank you so much and see you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
See you, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.